eye contact with everyone. So I'm just going to let you know right up front, I might be using some of my own techniques here. I'm breathing deeply. My 19-year-old is at A&M, and he did not show up for a major exam today. And so he is currently having a crisis.
Right.
However, he is not in danger. That is going to be part of what we're talking about today, is the difference between being in crisis.
I don't know, Mama.
You know what I learned a long time ago? I just graduated myself in 2012. And I did not understand what we asked of our young people. In today's current environment with social media and all the pressures that they have going on, single parent stuff, and I think he's doing remarkably well. So if we have a hiccup, in my world that is not a big deal, and probably in y'all's world too, you know the difference between what is a big deal and what is not a big deal. So let's get started. Okay, so I've been with the PD 7 years in January, and it's sucked almost all the good out of me. So, how are you guys doing? You doing okay, hanging in there, and leaning on each other, and learning what's important in life and what isn't, and trying to hold on to what little bit of your soul is left. So, if nothing else today, I will say I feel your pain. I dabble in your pain a little bit through the child abuse portion of it, and certainly we get a lot of walk-ins, mental health walk-ins. So I get it. I get it. And I you know, just like I'm often told, I appreciate so much what you do, and you probably stand in between these young people and certain and definite disaster. So kudos to you for what you do. But we're here to talk a little bit today about how do you preserve yourself. I mean, it's awesome that you're saving the world, but let's not forget to come home and save yourself. So that being said, let's move forward. We'll do the crisis intervention stuff first. Right? Do you see that? Head on fire. Right? Ah! I do sometimes when I get on scene. So at the police department, we have, I don't know how many of y'all have been in the lobby of the police department, but it's pretty, you know, it's got a marble floor, a nice big glass thing, and friendly people at the desk ask you what's your problem. But just off the side, we have a soft interview room. It has couches, it has windows that look out into greenery and this sort of thing. We have some toys in there in case they've brought a child with them. So the first question I would ask is, and it's been a while since I've been in your lobby, it's actually not that long ago, but I have zero memory of it. What do they see when they walk in? What do they see? Is there something there that's soothing? Is the lighting soothing? Is the paint soothing? Is the furniture comfortable? Is it a place that says, welcome, and we're going to help you? Or is it cold and sterile and kind of scary and dingy and dirty, or I don't know. I don't remember. So it's no different than going to look at a new house. And what we're supposed to be looking at is the bones. Does it have a good roof? Does it have good construction? Is the electrical and the plumbing in good shape? You know, we walked in and we go, this place is like hell. Right? So make sure your place doesn't look like hell. Make sure it's warm and inviting. And games. I have one of those things, got a little paddle and a bunchy string thing and a ball. And when the guys come in to talk to me, there's always some really legitimate excuse why they're in my office. But what they're really there for is to de-stress, to dump all their crap on me so they can feel better and leave, at least temporarily, and I can sit with it. But I give them toys. So there's the little puzzles and toys to play with. I have plants in my office. So, and mine fortunately looks out over the atrium, so there's a big glass window with pretty stuff outside. We can only work with what we have, right? We don't have millions of dollars to change the decor, but you know, I certainly have people that I can ask if you need help, if you need some plants, if you need a small aquarium, something simple where, you know, a million goldfish lose their life in service to the project. You know, we're not talking about a $5,000 saltwater tank. We're talking about just some fish you go, and you come in the morning, they're belly up, you're like, and then you get another for $1. I wish you could feeder fish in mine. So just keep in mind that that these things do matter. Just like your workspace, the first thing, if you're allowed to, and I'm not sure about you guys, but I have a giant Johnny Depp poster from Pirates of the Caribbean, and when anybody says, come here, we gotta go, pirate. You need to know that about me. That's what I'm doing all the time. And you guys put up pictures of your children and your family and your diplomas or whatever's important to you is kind of what's in your workspace to the level that you're allowed to, and that affects you positively and or negatively. If your workspace is ugly, it has a negative effect. So don't also these things, like, and I was talking about the whatever, for people who are highly agitated, something tactile to touch and do, if they have to wait for a minute, that's something that literally burns off steam, right? Maybe they have a phone, maybe they've lost their phone. You may see them just, frantically texting and or playing games, Angry Bird or whatever. Those are all tactile ways of letting off nervous energy or anger or frustration or what have you. So pay attention to your environment. You guys, sometimes you know what's walking into your lobby and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you can look through the window and just check out the demeanor of a person. That will tell you a lot about what they're doing. I see a lot of people on drugs. It's some part of the spectrum of their drug use. They're coming down off of it. We see a lot of meth folks. When I arrive at a house on a death on scene, DOS we call them, and it's an overdose, there's a really good chance that someone else in the house is using, right? And they're all, I don't have to ask them, hey, are you taking meth? Yes, obviously. They have all the hallmarks of that. And or their eyes are bloodshot and they're talking slow and their movements are slow. And I'm thinking, well, we're not having a problem with this one because, he's already been in his dime bag this morning, so he's fine. And so you see enough of these guys, you recognize the hallmarks of certain kinds of drug use, right? And you know where they are in that spectrum. When they come in and they're hollow-eyed and they got deep, dark circles and their breath smells like rotting garbage, but they're real calm, then you know they're crashing, right? And they're probably not going to give you a whole lot of trouble because they're exhausted. It's time for them to lay down and go to sleep somewhere. So the first thing you do before you walk out there is get your mind and your body ready. I used to be a 911 dispatcher and radio operator. Believe it or not, I was more scared of dispatching on radio to cops than I was of taking 911 calls. But the first one I ever took, a real hot call. I was great on the admin calls, and people will call 911 as the stupidest stuff. What time is it? Really? Or it could be something really, really, really bad. But I took my first hot call, and I froze. And at some point when he realized that he needed to rescue me, my trainer just started speaking really softly to me off to the side. He said, ask him this, ask him this. And so I got through the call, got it entered, got it sent over to radio. He disconnected the call, and he said, were you being shot at? He said, are you safe in this dispatch center? Yep. Then why are you joining them up here? Right? So how that's applicable to you guys, even though you may be walking into, you're not taking a phone call, you're going to walk out in the lobby and meet this person face to face, which is a much different thing than taking a phone call. But some of the same skills apply, which is make sure you're centered. Take a deep breath. If you just had a fuss with a coworker, or you got off the phone and you're aggravated, or walked in this morning and there's more work can possibly be done today, and everything, I don't know about you guys, but everything is an emergency. There is no non-emergency stuff. If you've got that, that's for a volunteer or something, but it's all important. And what happens to us when everything is important is we end up like this all the time. And that is the physicality and the energy that you're carrying in to meet with this young person. And they're already up here. And now you're bringing your own up here of a different sort. And that's not going to bring them down. So just literally, before you walk through the door, just take a deep breath, just like with my kid. You know, here's Hank is definitely over at College Station having a meltdown. Okay, we'll have a meltdown. But you're not going to draw me into the meltdown. Because I know, through my life experience of 53 years, this is not an emergency. This is really going to be an expensive, probably, inconvenience. And it's not going to affect your life a year from now. It's just going to make things real uncomfortable for the interim. He's burning up my phone as we speak. He's in his other class, which he should just give into it and pay attention to the class you're in. It's just going and I said, I'm going over to give a training. I'll be out of pocket for 2 hours. Okay. So if I just start smiling, it's because he's burning up my phone.
If you need to take a break, though.
I don't. I can't fix this.
He missed the time.
He thinks I walk on water, which is really sweet. And I keep telling him I can't. And Jesus and I are barely on first-name basis. But when he panics, it's all about Mama. He never calls me otherwise. It's always this. It's never, hey, how you doing? It's always like, my life is wrecking. So sometimes your person coming in might be up here, just like Mr. Hank Oliver is on this phone, having a meltdown, when what they're having is a crisis. He's having a crisis, but he's not in danger, right? But you can't tell that right away when you walk out there. So the more centered you can be, the better off they're going to be. Because you need to be thinking really, really clearly and quickly discerning, do you have a crisis on your hands now? Because he or she's going to act, you're going to be expected to do something, right? Or are you about to walk into danger? So the more level-headed you are and calm, the better you're going to be able to make that decision. So, you're looking, do you have a window that you can see out into the lobby? Yes? Okay. So, size them up a little bit. I do that before, when I walk out into the lobby to meet with a client, I always take the first door into records, walk in and act like I'm asking. I already know, they already told me what's waiting on me, but I'll walk in and I'll act and I just eyeball it. I have a building full of cops. You don't have that. And if I don't feel good, if I get that little hinky feeling in your stomach, I'll say, would you ask, training and recruiting is from here to that wall right there. Just ask somebody to kind of head this way. I think everything's going to be fine, but I just want somebody on deck. And I'm looking for pacing, wringing hands. Now, if they're already really close to the female and she's already really crying, and I've got 2 or 3 other people, even if they're just citizens in the lobby, I'm not worried about that at all. I'm looking at the guy that is taller than me. He may be tatted with angry things. It's not tribal and all. Just decoration. It's just a lot of angry stuff going on, and it might be full sleeves. And this is not about profiling, but it's totally about profiling. That's what we do, police departments profile and assess danger. That's what we're doing all the time. And I want to know, what is his face? Look, this might be totally appropriate, but I don't know. If you're all on Facebook, have you seen the video about resting bitch face?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. We get those people, right? They have resting bitch face. They always look angry. You don't know. You can't tell by looking always whether this really is an angry person or if they just have resting bitch face. And so over time, over years, over decades, your gut will start to tell you what's resting bitch face and what is angry. And so I might call for backup. You guys might do the same. Say, hey, you know, could you just keep an eye on me? Right? Just keep an eye on me. So if something goes south, somebody's got my back. So, am I in danger? Are they in danger? Difference between crisis and danger. So, I don't need to tell you this, but a crisis, just like we're talking about, a kid at school, financial crisis, family crisis, you know, dad calls him, mom's in the hospital, your pet gets sick, you're going to miss work, you had an important presentation. Those are all crises. None of that is danger. Has anybody here truly ever been in danger? Okay. I have maybe once or twice in my life truly been in danger. I've never been stalked. I've never been chased by a bear. I've never stood in a pool of gas with a sparkler. I have yet to have a truly violent client. Have any of y'all had a violent client who attacked you? Okay, so I took this class, a trauma class by Dr. Eric Gentry, which was amazing. If you can get into one of his trainings here when he comes to Austin, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. Because he painted a couple of scenarios while we were there and then asked us who in this room would feel like they were in danger. And, you know, 70% of us raised our hands. And he said, that's not danger, that's crisis. Those are two different things. But our bodies sometimes perceive them the same. And once your sympathetic nervous system gets wound up, right, that's fight or flight. So we're feeling all this stress from our job. There's no way you can finish all your work in one day. That cannot be done. And I tell you what, you handle these 5 kids and tomorrow there'll be 5 more waiting. It never stops. So it becomes an issue of you managing your time and resources and the available heart and soul that you have for these guys. Right? So they're all valuable, right? What if there were $100 bills falling from the sky? You can try to do this, but you're going to miss more than just what drops right into your hands. And I know that sounds terrible. It does. You want to save them all. That's why you came here, was to save them all, but you can't. You cannot save them all. So you save the ones that you can. And you must manage your level of crisis. And remember, most of the time you're not in danger. What to do in a crisis? You know, one of the things I notice with my victim services folks is they don't want to ask for help, right? They don't want to call and brainstorm. They don't want to call and be mentored. They said, I'm going to sign up for this time period, and now I'm going to be responsible so that you can be free to do whatever you want to do. And I'm like, well, that's awesome, but phone calls don't bother me. It's having to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, put my clothes on, and actually go to that call that's bothering me. So a phone call, I would rather, let's handle this tonight at 3 a.m. Let's do it right the first time. Then me have to come in tomorrow morning and backtrack and clean up a mess, or now we're dug ourselves into a hole we can't get out of. And so brainstorm with your coworkers. They may have been here less time than you, but know of some resource that you do not. Right? There's safety in numbers, and there's more brains in numbers. So fall back on the folks around you. And sometimes we end up with, I'm not going to say her name, but there is this lady in accounts payable downtown. And she's been there since dirt. And she is this insane curmudgeon. And she's just grouchy and whatever. And I won't leave her alone. Because you know what? She knows everything there is to know. And I do the same billing. I hate it. I detest it. It's just bureaucracy and crap. It's just crap. And I don't even know why I have to do it. I don't know why I have to do it, but I do. It's part of the job. It's always been that way. And I've tried to kick that away from me, and it just keeps landing back in my basket, so I just gave in at some point. I went, okay, I'm supposed to learn something from this, I'm sure. And one of the things I've learned is that this grouchy old lady knows everything there is to know. And she actually has a really great sense of humor. So I made her my friend. And it was not easy. It's 7 years in. And it's just now that she smiles when she sees me coming. It took effort. But just because somebody's prickly doesn't mean they don't have good information and aren't a great resource. Manage your emotions. So this is another 911 trick, is it's real easy when you have someone screaming and you begin to identify with that, right? Some of us may have come out of the same childhood that these folks had. Some of us haven't, and we're all in it for different reasons. Mine was because I wanted to know, I'm a psychology freak. I want to know why the naughty bunnies do what they do. Why do they do what they do? And why do victims submit to that? What creates this dynamic? And so it's just constantly fascinating to me. I'm also ADHD off the charts. So every day when I go in, I know I have all this structure. I know who my boss is. There's a chain of command. It's all very, very clearly laid out. I know where the bathroom and the coffee pot is. I know what you can and can't do. We've got an SOP. It tells you everything. Everything else changes constantly. So I never get bored. Or not for long. I do get bored, actually, all the time, but not for long. So it's constantly moving and changing, constantly something new. And even though I've seen the same thing 100 times, the personalities were different. Some of you may have come through a tough childhood and you want to spare someone else or do something for them that was not done for you. It doesn't matter why you're doing it as long as you know your why. But don't get drawn into their drama, because you can't help them if you join them, right? Object is to bring them down and get into a resourceful state. And the best way for you to do that is to continue throughout the, because it's easy to get, they get real emotional, and it's easy to get sucked into that, but you have to keep recentering so that you stay in a resourceful state. We'll talk about some of the ways that you do that. Do the same thing for your clients that we just talked about here, right? And I had to tell Hank, I'm not angry with you. I didn't even say I'm disappointed. I said, ooh, but first of all, he's like, oh my God, Mom, oh my God, oh my God. And I'm thinking, what? My worst is, did you get arrested? did the car break? The first thing is somehow is your freedom then brought into question? Or payday's not till Friday. What am I going to do? Right? That's my danger. That's my emergency. That's my crisis. Is what am I going to do on these two situations? And he's like, no, I didn't make it. And I'm like, that's not my crisis. That's your crisis. So you gain perspective. I have this perspective. I shared it with him. I let him know, Mama's not mad at you. I'm not mad at you. And this can be fixed, maybe not easily and maybe not cheaply, but this can be fixed. But I didn't minimize his distress, because what I don't want him is to not care. Of course I want him to care. I want him to be a little bit stressed out because I want him to fix it. And so I gave him some things to do based on my experience, but also pointed out the difference between crisis and danger. So this actually paid off today, as I was 5 minutes before I came here was working on this, because everybody kept bothering me. What to do when you're in danger. So if you're looking through the window, if you can see through a window, you're looking out the window and you see clearly you have something that inside makes you go, don't go out there. Don't do it. Right? They're okay, or they're not okay. But the last thing we want is for them to be not okay, and now you also are not okay. So if something right from the get-go makes the hair rise up on the back of your neck, your stomach gets tight, just don't go up there. Call for some backup. right? Whether that's your own coworkers, to say, maybe you want to see if their gut matches your gut. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Are you feeling what I'm feeling? Are you recognizing signs that I'm recognizing? So, you know, confer. Confer before you just walk out into the lines, damn with pork chop drawers on, right? If you are already in there, you've already walked in and it deteriorates, leave if you can. You know what I always do? You didn't know my phone was buzzing. I don't know, maybe you could hear it, but I could feel it. So all of us who are going into training where we should be, if we're not rude, or we remember, to turn the sound off on our phones. You just go, oh, no, I'm so sorry, hold on 1 second. Remove yourself from the situation and call 911 if it's that bad. Or let them cool off. Just know that sometimes our hearts and our shoulds will make us stay where we shouldn't stay, right? Just like having an argument with your husband, or your girlfriend or boyfriend, or whatever the case, maybe your kid. If it's escalating and it's just not necessary, say, you know what, I need to take a 5-minute break. I feel like I'm spiraling out of control. I don't even know why. You've told them respectfully what's going on. You remove yourself from the situation. Bring it on out. If you're in there and it goes south and you can't excuse yourself politely, now you're starting to think in terms of pure safety. Your safety. Do you ever end up with more than one client in the lobby at a time? Yes. Okay. This is going to sound harsh. Save yourself. Save yourself. Save them if you can. If it comes down to the two of you, you may be the only one that has to call 911. And I know that sounds harsh and uncaring, and that you should try to save everybody. If it comes down to it, you need to save yourself. And the cops may disagree with me. They may come in this afternoon and say, I can't even believe you said that. But that's how I feel. But when I'm on call in my victim services role, if something goes south, I'm getting out first. And if I can grab a 2-year-old on the way out, so be it. But if not, I'm saving myself. I want to go home to my children. Try to stay near a door if you can. Right? Don't let people, as they're agitated and doing all this stuff, back you into a corner. You would have to stay mindful. You're doing active listening, you're really listening. You're paying attention to their physiology. What are they doing? Are they flapping? You know, we get lots of autism and Asperger's and all that kind of stuff, and it's not always immediately apparent, but that they do a lot of things that are common. So if you see flapping, so they're flapping. I flap. I think if you tied my hands behind my back, I would not be able to speak. There's a difference between flapping and making aggressive movements. Keep some distance between you and them. If they're coming up in your hula hoop, step back. That's what I had to teach. Well, I have a nephew who had some learning disabilities, some sensory issues, some other things going on, and I had to teach him to keep an imaginary hula hoop around himself or other people. And he'd say, you know, maybe people don't like me. And I was like, well, baby, get right up in your face. So I said, keep a hula hoop, and they'll invite you into their hula hoop when the relationship or the conversation moves to that point. And he always said that was really helpful. So if people are stepping into your hula hoop, then maybe that they don't have good boundary issues. They don't, or it could be cultural. It could be that's how it rolls in their family. But you don't have to abide by their family rules. They step into your, you know, to start it, that doesn't have your rules. Keep your voice calm, don't panic, and if you see that it's getting out of hand, go ahead and call 911. You can always walk outside and say, sorry, we jumped the gun on that. You go, okay. But wait, it's too late. It's too late. So we already answered the first question. Do you guys have an emergency plan at all? Or is that what the folks this afternoon are here to do? That's what they're here to do? Okay, so do we have yoga folks in here? We've all at least watched yoga. I went to hot yoga once and almost died. I'm like, no. Somebody had eaten